Hey, this is JC here at JC's Comics and More, your pop culture superstore at 6725 West Central Avenue, Toledo, Ohio, 43617 419 531 6097. JC's Comics and More at hotmail.com. JC's Comics and More on Instagram. Find the Facebook link in the description below. This is Friday, March 3rd. We got a special video coming up, but real quick, Bugs Bunny is showing Elmer Fudd what happens when a circumcision goes bad, and Donald Duck got sauced. What do we have here? We got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Tell us about it, Matt.
So JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a very, very bizarre manga by Hirohiko Araki.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have a lot of different things to show you in this, but before that, I have my notes. Just some quick stuff about Araki. So, his first serialized manga was back in 1983, which is about 4 years before JoJo started.
Okay.
But his actual first manga that he did was back in 1978 called The Bottle. I couldn't find anything on either of these. I don't think they're in publication in English, but by all accounts, they're fine. Yeah, right now, there's actually 9 parts to JoJo. Part 9 is going to be the last one.
Okay.
Which is part of why I wanted to do this video for Jem. As well as I think there's a lot of people who would enjoy this. And the last...
Now, what did the different parts, why different parts?
So, basically how JoJo works is, each part there's a different protagonist. Like, part 1, he's on the cover, but this would be Zeppeli. Part 1 is Jonathan Joestar. He is the first of the lineage of the Joestars, and then we have...
So that's who that is?
This is, Zeppeli.
Zeppeli.
I can actually find a picture of Jonathan. Won't take too long. But that would be Jonathan, and... yeah, we'll talk more about the art in this in a bit.
Now, is Jonathan JoJo?
Jonathan Joestar. So, yeah, his shorthand is JoJo.
Okay, all right.
But then we have...
Is that who that is right here?
This is Joseph Joestar. This is actually his grandson.
Okay. And that was like part 9s, they eventually go to him or not?
It gets a little confusing.
Okay.
But part 3...
which JoJo is this?
This is the best JoJo. This is Iggy, the bull terrier. He chews on coffee bubblegum and farts on people.
Oh, yeah, like most dogs do.
But part 3 is
I see
Jotaro.
Iggy, yes, of course.
But part 3's protagonist is Jotaro Kujo. He has a different name. He's still Jojo, but his last name is Kujo.
Like the dog.
Yes. And then part 4 is...
Frankie Goes to Hollywood?
Actually, there's Jotaro. But... this part's very weird. It takes place during the...
during the 80s.
Yeah,
I lived them.
I was going to say, Duran Duran is directly referenced in this.
Well, yes.
But this is Josuke. I don't actually remember what Josuke's last name is off the top of my head. But, and then part 5, we have Giorno. He is related to a different character, but he's technically a JoJo. I'll explain that a bit later.
So many JoJos.
Yes, and then part 7 actually is not JoJo.
Okay.
Part 8 is, well, anyone that's not a JoJo is just called a Joe Bro.
Okay.
Like, they're just vaguely related.
All right.
But, last thing about Araki then, and then we'll get on to showing some of this. He was actually asked to make art for the Louvre in 2009. So I would say he's succeeded at life.
I think that's kind of puts him in a different than most artists.
Yeah.
Puts him on a different level.
Yeah, he was one of 5 selected to do that, so...
wow.
Pretty amazing.
Now 5 in 2009, or just 5 period?
So 5 in just 2009. I don't know if they've done it since or before, really. I don't think it's something they do too often. But, yeah, so, like I said, JoJo started in 1987. So, this is going to be from the first run of it. This is volume 2, because I have some specific scenes I want to show.
Alright, so you're showing volume 2 rather than showing volume 1 first.
Yeah, because
Is that how the Japanese manga goes? It goes in backwards order. You think you got volume 1, but it's volume 9.
So this is part 1, volume 2. This is part 2, volume 1. This is part 3, volume 8.
Okay.
This is part 4, volume 1.
All right, yeah.
So, yeah, it's all split up
so
like that.
It's not just bizarre in name, it's bizarre in how you're supposed to read them, too.
But, yeah, so as you can see, the art is very much Fists of the North Star inspired. Because I'll be honest, I recommend people do read part 1, but it is very different from the rest of the series. The art style is like completely different. There's good old Dio Brando. He will come up a lot. Basically, the story of the first 3 parts is a bisexual vampire harasses a family for generations.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, they got to do something to make the time go by. Everybody needs a hobby.
But, yeah, this is when Dio used the stone mask, which is a big part of the story. Basically, it turns you into a vampire. Normally, it turns you into, like, a mindless thrall. But Dio just ends up getting a lot of superpowers from it. Like crushing a man's skull and sucking blood out through his head. But, yeah. Again, I really like the art in this. It's quite different, again, from what he does later on, but it's still quite nice. There is a specific scene.
Any questions or anything, just let me know.
If I can find it.
And isn't this also where they did certain chapters based on music and stuff? They couldn't, isn't that?
So, not quite yet. That's actually going to start in part 3.
But I mean, in the JoJo series, that's
yes, there like
there's a Metallica that you're telling me, and some of the other
lot of the stand names towards the end of part 3 start being named after bands, music, songs, stuff like that. So, I'll get into that more around then. But yeah, so this is just them, like, going up a burning mansion, fighting at the same time. I was hoping to find, like, where Dio's just, like, thunking his feet into the wall and walking up sideways. But,
now, do you think Dio was inspired by Ronnie James Dio?
I'm going to say yes, because, again, a lot of them are just based off of musicians or stuff like that, so it's most likely Ronnie James Dio. But, I'm not going to spend too long on part 1, because it's, again, to be quite frank, it's the least interesting of all of them, but it's important to the story still. It's also the shortest, thankfully. But, yeah. So, that was part 1. This is also, like, the newer art style for a lot of this. This is Blueford. There's a whole thing about localization names. I'm not even going to get into some of that, because some of it's just like, what?
Okay.
But here we have part 2. This is actually me and my friends. Probably one of our favorite parts. Okay. Because Joseph is just a damn cheater.
Now, who's on the back of that one?
That would be, it's Santaviento. Okay. That's not his name. That's actually Santana.
Okay.
Again, that's one of, like, the localizations, like, oh, we can't use it because it's, like, a, musician's name. Like,
right. I'm sure Carlos would have no problem with that. He seems like a good guy.
You can use Coca-Cola, though. So, I didn't explain this, but this is actually a perfect chance. So, there's not stands in part 1 and part 2.
Oh, right there, look at it. Everybody enjoys the Coke.
They actually use Haman, which is just, like, the energy of life, and he just uses it to pop the cap off cola and hit this man in the face.
And then later it looks like breaks his finger.
Yes. But Joseph's whole thing, which you can see the art style's changed a little bit. It's still very Fists of the North Star-ish, but it's changed a bit.
So this is the cheater.
Yeah, he basically says, next you're going to say, and then they basically say it all the time, because he just like cheats. But, I do really like the art in this. I think this is, like...
That's kind of, what's going on there?
So, this is actually one of the Pillarmen, who are the main antagonists of this part. I love the Pillarmen. You have AC/DC, Cars, and, they say Wamu, it's Wham. But, yeah, Cars is my favorite.
Oh, it's Speedwagon, so I guess that's maybe supposed to be REO Speedwagon.
That is correct.
They're Liverpool.
There's so many references.
Because they don't want to say the Beatles?
There actually is Beatles-related stuff here, because Rocky really likes the Beatles. But, let's see. There is a part in here. Oh yeah, you get some colorized pieces in here as well. This isn't super common, but every once in a while there's like a chapter that's maybe colorized to a degree. But these are always really cool. But yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna go back just a bit. So Jonathan just pulls out a machine gun from where? I don't know. But he just guns down one of the vampires, just because also this takes place in America.
So you use silver bullets?
Nope.
No, because that wouldn't work on vampires.
But, yeah, so he just guns down the vampire.
Well,
it's just
what are you supposed to do?
Alright. I don't know, but...
let them just suck your blood?
You could.
Yeah, but that's, who wants that? You don't want to give blood, right?
That's a different topic.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But yeah, just Araki is a really talented artist. Again, I can't wait to show more of like around part 5. I think is when the style really comes into his own. I wish I could show like parts 7, 8, and 9 because his art style is so different. He basically draws like fashion models.
Let me see who this is.
All right.
Hello, JC's Comics and More. Hello.
You guys had
Okay.
Okay, so this is a scene I really wanted to show. This is Tequila Joseph.
Okay.
He dresses up as a woman with boobs and tequila to try and get into basically the place where Santana is being held.
Man, he was way ahead of his time.
He was. It doesn't work, and there's like, what are you doing, freak? He tried. It didn't work. But there's
he just killed people then. Huh?
Oh yeah, a lot of people die in JoJo. Some in horrifying ways.
It looks like that's pretty horrifying.
There's more horrifying ways that I will touch on. But there's Strawheim because Nazis show up in this because why not?
Sure.
Here's one of the beautiful like full color pages.
Wow, that's nice.
But a lot of this one, not specifically, but a lot of the poses are actually based off of fashion models. So, like some of the iconic things that you'll see, like, you can find their real world counterparts. And
so he's a regular Greg Land.
Well, he doesn't trace; they're just inspired. But okay, here we go. Here's Santana. He's just like in this man.
Wow.
He just contorts himself, goes into his skull,
his eyeball.
And then, yeah, ends up like this.
He's a Zeppelin. He's German.
But yeah, just crazy stuff happens in this, and yeah, he's just like shooting himself as bullets out of this man's finger. But yeah, there's a Haman attack. He's using threads to like figure out where the attack's coming from and to stop the bullets as well. But I'm probably gonna cut this part short. I'll go on to the next one. But part 2 is one of my favorites. Very crazy things happen during it, and Cars is one of my favorite characters of all time for JoJo.
So you like cheaters?
Well, yes, Joseph is one of the best. Also, speaking of one of the best, Iggy, one of my favorite characters for part 3. Not my favorite character, but
inspired by Iggy Pop.
Yes.
Now, Iggy Pop, I'm sure, would be thrilled that he's a Boston Bulldog.
I'm sure he would love it.
He might be more of a corgi guy himself.
Maybe. But so we skipped to part 3.
Would you love him more if he was a corgi?
Probably.
Oh, okay.
But we skipped to part 3. Spoiler, Dio's back after being burned to death in the first one and taking over someone's body. I don't know how that worked, but, it just happens. But now we get to one of my favorite parts. Boingo and Whole Horse. Whole Horse is one of my favorite characters of all time.
Of course, based on Oingo Boingo.
Yep. The localized name is Zendada Mondada, which is just the name of an Oingo Boingo album. Although, in the manga, they have it Oingo Boingo, but in the anime, it's Zendata Mondata.
Okay.
I don't know why they changed back and forth, but... so this is where we start getting stands, and Boingo's stand is based off of one of the tarot cards, Thoth, I believe. Actually, no. This is when we get the Egyptian gods, so Thoth. So he can predict anything with his manga.
Okay.
And if you do what's laid out in it, the prophecy will come to happen. So Whole Horse is trying to, there's some of the very this is what the manga actually, like, looks like that he's reading from that predicts what's gonna happen. But he's like, okay, yeah, so I'm gonna try and defeat the Joestars, and I just have to make whatever happens in here happen. So we're gonna skip ahead to probably my favorite part where he's like, yeah, so you have to stick your fingers up Polnareff's nose, and then from there,
tickle.
he'll pass out, and then, like, a truck will hit them or something. How this works, I don't know, but here is Whole Horse's stand. That would be Emperor. So...
They must be on really good Japanese drugs you don't get in America.
But, yeah, Emperor basically, it's just a gun where you can fire the bullets and they will track to their target. It's very simple, but, you know, it's very effective.
Sounds like one of the bullets that Dread can have.
Very much so, yes. But, alright, there he is with his confrontation, Polnareff. You know, Polnareff's being him. There's a Silver Chariot.
Based on the band Silverchair.
Not quite that.
Oh, okay.
But, let's see. Yeah, he just sticks his fingers directly in Polnareff's nose, and he's like, this is the only way to defeat the Joestars. So, he does that, and it goes on for a very long time, just shocked that someone's stuck his fingers in his nose. And then Whole Horse doesn't know what to do about it from there.
Okay.
But, as you can see, again, the art style's kind of changed a little bit more. Again, still very buff people like Fists of the North Star, but more refined, a little less, like, dark-lined detail. But I think it works a lot for what it is. And then we're going to skip forward a bit again to the fight between Pet Shop and Iggy.
So the Pet Shop Boys versus Iggy.
Yes.
I think the Pet Shop Boys lose.
Well, I don't want to spoil too much about what happens in these parts, but yes, so Pet Shop has a stand that's Horus, just like a giant flaming bird, and then Iggy has, I don't remember what his stand is right off the top of my head, but this is actually a picture of a stand, the Fool. And it's just like a construct made of sand that can turn into various different things, it can fly, but yeah, so... They just go at it. Pet Shop is an asshole. He will murder literally anything that exists. He's just a hateful, hateful bird. But, yeah. This part's quite cool. I'm just gonna leave it on there. He's driven underwater, basically, and creates, like, a little cave for himself while he tries to figure out, what do I do against Pet Shop?
Well, you have his paw get the...
Yes, Pet Shop, like, ripped off his paw.
Okay.
Again, Pet Shop's an asshole. Alright, the next parts are probably going to take a little bit longer, so if you want to stop there.
Go.
Alright, so... Okay, so we've skipped ahead a bit then.
And what book is this now?
So this is part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable.
Okay.
This is Josuke. His stand is Shining Diamonds, which is, you know, Pink Floyd's Shine On You Crazy Diamonds. So here is one of my favorite parts from, you know, what I'm able to show. This is the fight against Bad Company, which is just a bunch of, like, sentient soldiers and stuff.
Okay.
You see, they just call him Company, but on his collar it has Bad, like, you know. Yeah. But I'm not going to spend too much on this, but this is like a traditional JoJo pose. It makes no sense, but they do that to be expressive.
It looks like Herman Munster's face right there.
I can kind of see it.
It is.
But, yeah, I'll show a little bit. There's Crazy Diamond Josuke's stand. His, which I'm going to talk a little bit about stands at the end. Again, kind of limited time, but his ability is he can heal anything. Like, say, if a bullet got shot into you and it fragmented apart, but you had, like, part of it, he could pull it all back out and make a full bullet and heal you at the same time. It's a pretty strong ability.
It's not bad. That's a good thing to have.
But here is the final part I'm able to show. I'm not going to show too much of this because it's kind of laid into it and it's a lot of spoilers, but I mostly want to show...
on the back cover there?
So this is actually one of the characters I'm going to talk about. Dorpio, or I don't want to spoil who else he is, but that is King Crimson.
Okay.
Again, named after the band King Crimson. But, yeah, so in this part, the art style is a bit different. That's actually Notorious B.I.G. called Notorious Chase in this. But there we have Giorno. As you can see, the art style has changed quite a bit. A lot more sleek, a lot more like fashion style. And this is a lot closer to how JoJo will end up looking in much further parts. There's Trish, again, like just kind of exaggerated poses.
Okay.
But I don't... Okay, actually, here's one of the ones I was going to talk about. Bucciarati and his stand, Sticky Fingers, which is actually localized to Zipper Man. His is one of my favorite stands because it's just so weird. He can basically create zippers that can, like, cut through objects or lead to, like, a little pocket dimension that you can sit in.
Wow.
Or he can, like, take off limbs by, like, zipping them. It just... Such a strange ability. We might actually have Metallic in here. Yeah. So this is risotto. A lot of the characters in this part are named after Italian foods because Araki really likes Italy. Or he was hungry. But, yeah, his stand is Metallica localized as metallic, which it basically draws out the iron in your blood, so you just, like, start decaying.
Wow.
It is a very, very strong stand. There's metallic. But, yeah, you can also make you, like, form razor blades in you and, like, puke up razor blades. I think that's actually on... Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
So, just... very creative abilities, and that's a lot of what I like about JoJo. But, so, very quickly then, just some additional stuff. You can feel free to thumb through that. So, JoJo has actually sold over 100 million copies as of 2016. And there's
You get how many different volumes?
It's like 100 and something. Ours is more condensed. Ours is like 3 volumes in one, so like 1/3 of it, but there's like 100 and something volumes total.
Okay.
But, yeah, one of the funniest parts to me is, in 2008, they had to recall some of Part 3 because Dio was just shirtless reading the Quran, and people didn't like that, apparently.
I wonder who could be pissed off about that.
So, that's just one of the interesting footnotes, but very quickly then, I just want to talk about some of my favorite stands.
The Quran?
Not Quran.
Oh.
But I already talked about Bucciarati and Sticky Fingers. I want to talk about my actual personal favorite stand, Kira in Killer Queen, which Kira is the main villain of Part 4.
Of course, Killer Queen, reference to Queen.
Yep. And all the other abilities he has are as well. So, Killer Queen can basically turn anything into a bomb. If it touches it, it makes it into a bomb.
Hey, it's like Gambit.
Yes. But then he...
So who ripped off who?
Good question. But his evolved form of that, because there's evolved stands, that's a different thing, is Sheer Heart Attack, where he can release like an auto-tracking stand from his hand that just says O Mitsukeru, which is find, seek. And it can just find whatever its target is and try and destroy them. But then it gets one of the most broken abilities of any stand to ever exist. It gets Bites the Dust, again, another Queen song, where he can implant a small version of Killer Queen into someone's eye, and if Kira's identity is found out, it kills them and restarts time from like an hour ago. It can basically destroy time.
Oh, man.
It's a crazy ability. The last two that I want to talk about, this one's actually my second favorite is Funny Valentine, which is based off of a song title. I can't remember who it's by. I think it's by someone Richards. I could be wrong. But, yeah, Funny Valentine with Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, which the localized name is A Filthy Axe at a Reasonable Price.
Well, it makes sense.
But Dirty Deeds, his ability is basically he allows alternate universes to exist alongside ours, and he can interact with them.
Okay.
So, like, say, for some reason there's a gun in another universe, he can just pull that gun into the current one and use it. Very broken. You can just go hide in the alternate universes too, making you almost unkillable. And then he has an evolved stand that's even more ridiculous than that, where he can hide in, like, pocket dimensions and attack you still. Ridiculously powerful. And then the last one that I want to talk about is Diavolo and King Crimson. So, Diavolo's, I guess slight spoiler, he's Dolpio.
Okay.
So, slight spoiler there. But, King Crimson's ability, then, is he can erase time. He can go 10 seconds into the future and either keep that, or he can erase it. Very simple stand, but very, very effective. And actually, the ending to Part 5 is one of my favorite endings of all time. We don't have much time, so massive spoiler. If you don't want, you can stop here. Please read JoJo. That's all I have to say. But basically what happens is Giorno gets the evolved stand of Gold Requiem, which is based off of a Prince song. Gold Experience, my bad. Gold Experience. And he fights against King Crimson. And King Crimson thinks he's won because, I've trapped him in between time and he can't escape. And then the sentient stand that he has comes alive and actually says, Diavolo, you will never see time again. And he just gets to live a bunch of horrible lifetimes of people. Like getting operated on in a morgue, like just getting, cut open while he's fully aware. He feels the sadness of, like, dying and, like, a child crying to him. He gets hit by a car. Just gets to suffer for all of eternity. It's like, it's wonderful.
Sounds like it.
But, yeah, so...
Now how much do you pay?
But in conclusion, like, JoJo is a very, very interesting series. I think a lot of people would actually like it, I know manga's off-putting to some people, and I'm so glad so many people tried out Berserk.
Yeah, Berserk is selling amazingly well for me. It's my big stack of Berserk over there that you see.
I think a lot of people would truly like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as well. Again, like, maybe if you want to dip your toes into it, watch an episode of it first just to see if you like it. Probably not from Part 1 again. Part 1's like, Part 2 you could probably see something about, but highly recommend this series. Araki is so talented, and again, if you like music and stuff, there's a lot of little references in there for you to get, and it's just so much fun. It is a truly bizarre adventure, as it says.
Sounds great. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks for bringing this stuff in. Hopefully this will turn some people in. If you guys do like these videos, please subscribe. Please hit the bell for notification. Please comment on this video. This video here, please comment. Please share. Share this video on whatever manga type platforms you have to be on. Certainly, please, please, please. Other than that, hope everybody has a good rest of your first March weekend. Thanks for watching. Thanks again, Matt. I appreciate it.
Yep, thanks for having me
Take care.
Hey, this is Amber with Senior Medicare Advisor. How
No,
are you
it's
doing
not.
today?